Jazakallah khair to state one. Inshallah, our next speaker is Sister Zara Faris. She is a graduate in Islamic Studies and Arabic from the university, from SOAS University. She's lived in Egypt for a year studying the Arabic language, and she is now a researcher and a speaker for the Muslim Debate Initiative. She's delivered lectures at Sussex, Brighton, Lincoln and Kent University on the subject of women's rights in Islam, the role of women in Islam and the concept of hijab and the four greatest women of Islam. She's also spoken at numerous community events. She also publicly debated Do Women Need Feminism with the Green Party leader Natalie Bennett and Do Women Need Power with Councillor Ronnie Khan. So inshallah I'd like to invite Sister Zara Faris. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Jazakallah khair to everyone for coming tonight. It's a really good turnout, mashallah. So, Das Führer, David Cameron, was not happy with the report by Universities UK, prompting them to withdraw it. So what we have now is an independent body that produced a fully informed report after obtaining legal advice. This independent body is now tripping over itself backwards to placate a ruler that just didn't like the sound of their findings. And now we have a situation where segregation is now virtually tantamount to extremism. So over the past few weeks and months, we've been seeing what looks like a serious case of double standards. Following the main event that triggered the whole discussion, the debate that previous speakers have already mentioned between the Muslim speaker and the atheist speaker, Lawrence Krauss, we saw how now Muslim speakers who request segregated seating arrangements have been declared to be intolerable and extremist, whilst the atheist speaker who dictated the seating arrangements at that event, as did Lawrence Krauss, was praised and lauded. That is what happened at that event. It was Krauss who threatened to leave the event unless the Muslims rearranged themselves according to his preference. So we've also seen how Muslim men and women who wish to voluntarily segregate themselves are also declared by the liberals as either intolerable, misogynistic or brainwashed, whilst the liberals segregate schools, sports, hospital wards and prisons. And many have argued that these are the examples of double standards or the hypocrisy of liberals. The reality, however, is that this is not a case of the double standards of liberals at all. Rather, these are the standards of liberalism which are now being forced upon us against our will. You see, liberals don't have double standards for some people. It's just one standard for all, whether you like it or not, and that's their standard. According to the totalitarianism of liberal values, if I choose to sit with women rather than men, I am apparently lowering myself, which frankly says more about the Western perception of women than it does about Islam's. Just like the arguments against the niqab, when Muslim women say they choose to segregate, we're told that we are either brainwashed, stupid, and now we can add to that list, we're told that we're Islamists or extremists. Now, liberalism claims to tolerate all beliefs and opinions. In reality, though, the sad reality is that it only tolerates its own beliefs and opinions. It tolerates religion so long as that religion embraces liberal values, which in reality is no tolerance at all. One example of this is the attempt to widen the definition of extremism to include something as simple and benign as segregated seating. If it was only the concept of segregation for material or secular reasons, that would be fine, and this is why they have no problem with single-gender schools or segregated toilets, changing rooms and segregated sports. However, if you segregate under any reason connected to religious morality, then liberalism rejects it. It seems that to do basically anything in the West, you have to supplicate to the god of secular humanism and do it in its name. Otherwise, you get branded by the modern word for heretic, which is extremist. Now, Islam is being anathematized and declared to be modern-day heresy in the West, and this is what we see. In fact, in Islam, the whole point of the hijab, the niqab, is to facilitate our public life by creating tension-neutral spaces by means of segregating women's beauty from non-familial men. So liberalism, when it claims that segregation is extremist, means that eventually, by extension, the hijab, which is also a form of segregation, and every girl that wears the hijab will soon be declared as an extremist. And Rousseau wrote in his Social Contract, these are his words: "Whosoever refuses to pay obedience to the general will shall be liable to be compelled to it by the force of the whole body, and this is in effect nothing more than that they may be compelled to be free." In other words, he's saying, or this is the effect of it for us, Muslims should realise that if they do not choose the liberal understanding of freedom and equality, they will be forced to do so. This is liberalism. This is not a hypocrisy or a double standard. This is the rule of liberalism. So in the name of equality, secularists insist that Muslims follow morals adhering to their worldview and their concepts, and they deny us a right to our own. And in the name of tolerance, secularists repress all belief systems that don't accept their dogma as somehow being intolerant and not deserving any tolerance at all. That's basically like saying, if you don't agree with us, then you're not tolerant, and we'll deny you a right to be tolerated in what cannot be justified by our beliefs. Thus, in the name of liberal equality, we are rendered second-class citizens, and in the name of liberal tolerance, we are not tolerated. So, what do we do? Now, let us be clear, this is not about anybody's Islamic opinion on segregation at educational environments. There are a variety of Islamic opinions on the matter, and it's not for us to condemn each other for having different opinions. We see in the West that they do not condemn each other, yet we are told to condemn each other and to condemn ourselves. Sure, many secular liberals disagree with France, for example, banning the niqab and the hijab in schools and public places. Many secular liberals disagree with France doing that. But do any secular liberals denounce France as a non-free country? No, they don't. France is still called a free country by them, even when they disagree with them. And the reason is that the French secularists banned what they did in the name of secular liberalism, so it's fair game. All Western liberal countries, essentially, and all liberals believe in these same values, so they're not going to start condemning and denouncing them as non-free. So as long as that is the basis, no liberal will denounce another liberal country as being non-free. So seeing as this is the level of respect that liberal secularists have for difference of opinion with each other, where is our respect for difference of opinion amongst ourselves? Do I have to believe that the niqab is obligatory in order to defend the Islamic right of any of my sisters to wear it, if that is her belief? No. My sister gets my help whether I agree with her opinion or not. And it's a shame, one of the sisters touched on it earlier, that some Muslims, usually those who placate liberals, turn against their own brothers and sisters. And this is, frankly, nothing but the pitiful post-colonial self-hatred that some Muslims appear to possess. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us not to be divided amongst ourselves, and by God, we will not rest until, while any Muslim is being denied the right to follow their Islamic conscience. As the Prophet Muhammad said, the scholar that makes the wrong ijtihad still gets a reward, and therefore they still get the right to follow this ijtihad, whether we agree with it or not. All Muslims have a right to difference of opinion within Islam. But this topic is not about the difference of opinion within Islam. It is about liberalism's intolerance of Islam's core values. So what exactly does liberal values have to give us? We already believe in concepts of tolerance. We already believe in concepts of human rights. We already believe in concepts of equality. But we believe in the Islamic conceptions of these values, not the liberal interpretation of them. The words equality, rights, and the concept of tolerance existed in Islamic discourse for 1,000 years before the liberal philosopher came up with his first erroneous doctrine. In Islamic lands of the past, non-Muslims lived in peace under Muslim rule, being free to practice their own beliefs, values, having their own legal systems and courts. Liberalism, on the other hand, is hell-bent on imposing its own views on the world and not leaving Muslims alone to follow their beliefs in peace. It's time for Muslims to intellectually and politically push back, peacefully yet firmly. Recently, we had a similar situation in Birmingham, where the niqab was banned on the university campuses. What was the reaction of Muslims there? They came together and pushed back via demonstration and petitions until the ban was overturned. Similarly, we must demonstrate, campaign, lobby, write mass letters, petition, even resort to peaceful civil action if our rights as Muslims are forcefully removed from us. It was the American revolutionaries who complained to the British government that they should get no taxation without representation. If we pay tax, then the institutions that receive our tax should represent or allow us to practice our beliefs in peace. We do not desire to impose on anyone, nor do we expect or request it. We just want to have our beliefs and values left alone. I think it's time for David Cameron's muscular liberalism to be taken off the steroids and go to rehab.